So welcome to the Rising Stars. So we're about to see 5 of the best talent from across this region present a case on Kellogg's. So we gave them a brief Sunday evening, and effectively they've been working for the last 48 hours straight.
Thereabouts.
To give a solution in their respective markets. So thank you for obviously attending this, giving them their support, and it's great to obviously celebrate young talent. So with that, I'm just going to hand over to Bernard quickly as an adjudicator, I believe. For this afternoon.
Thank you. Well, first I want to thank you. Who are the contestants? You are one, right?
I am, yep.
Where are the others?
They're next door.
Oh, they're next door.
Yeah, they're not allowed to see John's.
Oh, they are not allowed to. Okay, I wanted to appreciate them, all of them, because whoever stands here has already won. I just want to make this very clear. You have already done a great job. And maybe at the end I tell everybody so they know. Second, I want to appreciate Starcom, who has sponsored this one, so thank you very much. It is time and effort. Also Kellogg's, the client, which is fantastic that they volunteer for that one. And you, that you listen to the young stars. I mean, in 20 years I won't be here, somewhere maybe, but these guys take it up, okay? So we are looking at these guys to take up the media industry to the next level. So I'm really appreciative of what we do here. I think it's the right priority, and that we have them here on board. And I wish you good luck. And something I want also to tell everybody, the key issue is timing. We had a pretty disastrous timing issue last year. I don't want this to be repeated, so stay with the time and keep going, okay?
Perfect.
Thank you.
So my name's John Dawson. I'm here to present the Australian response to the Kellogg's brief. Now, there's never been a more difficult time to launch a new cereal product in Australia. It's an incredibly competitive market with traditional brands fighting each other as well as the supermarket's own brands. So it's really, really tough. We have to decide straight off the bat, do we stick with the bar, do we stick with the bowl? Because we can't do both. So to cut through, we go with the bowl. The hot cereal market represents 11% of the cereal market in Australia, dominated by one player, which gives us a great opportunity to challenge the established breakfast option, which is Uncle Toby's Oats, and switch Susan, our target audience, to Nourish. Now, Susan is like many women in Australia, and we see a move away from thin to fit. Google tells us that searches for how do I get thin versus how do I get fit tell us something pretty interesting. How do I get fit has increased over time, whereas how do I get thin stays pretty much linear across the board. So Susan is a young professional woman. She's working full time. She's ambitious. She's highly social. And often her life gets in the way of her lifestyle. She knows she's moved beyond the fad diet and moved towards a nourishment lifestyle, ongoing weight management rather than a quick diet. Now, if you asked her what nourishment is, she might have a hard time explaining it, but she'll be able to tell you what nourishment feels like. And nourishment feels warm. Nourishment feels warm. It's a warm cup of tea on a cold day. It's the embrace of a loved one on a cold night. So I just want each of you to feel the warmth here as I explain the next part, which is cold targeted advertising. Susan wakes up, feels a particular chill in the air, and checks her mobile. As she's on checking the news, an ad pops up reminding her, it's going to be cold today. Nourish yourself. Take time to care for yourself. She's in the car. Her favorite radio announcers are on, reminding her, nudging her along. It's cold today. Wear a jacket. Take some time to nourish yourself. She's walking along the street on the way to work, and she approaches an out-of-home panel. She doesn't so much as see it first as she feels it. Heat lamps around the exterior of the out-of-home panel warmly embrace her towards the brand's message and the new product offering, describing the 3 flavor options. Now, she follows this path to purchase warmly through into the supermarket, aisle after aisle of cold, fluorescent-lit, desolate aisles, save for the warm red glow above the Kellogg's Nourish products. She approaches. The tiles are replaced with carpet. She stands in front, appreciating the entire selection of products. But Susan doesn't always drive. She often, and her friends often, get public transport. So we send out the Nourish crew to give women nourishment where they need it most, the coldest environments, the bus stops, the tram stops, the train stations, connecting her directly with the warmth, the nourishment, the product. Now, let's think about results here. The nature of this strategy means that we can, in an agile fashion, test, learn, and track. Correlating sampling data with local sales data, we can see what's working, with who, where, why, and then adopt that across other markets to efficiently use our budgets. But perhaps most importantly, this is a plan that focuses on the paid, owned, and earned. For paid, we have only cold targeted media delivered efficiently where Susan wants it most. In the earned space, we have credibility over the nourishment platform. And as for owned, well, Kellogg's now owns cold weather in Australia. She wants to switch to Nourish. She knows that nourishment feels like warmth. We get her to feel the warmth in her hand, inside her stomach. When we test, learn, track, and then we own the cold. So, feel the warmth. Thank you.
So we have 5 minutes of, is this working? We have 5 minutes of questions for John. Anybody want to open up?
Thank you, John, for the very insightful presentation. Could you elaborate a bit? I think you have got a very sound and a well thought through paid media plan, nicely worked out. Can you elaborate a bit more on the earned media? I mean, do you
Sure.
have plans on digital, social,
Absolutely.
driving advocacy, engagement, etc.?
Definitely. So the Nourish crew I envisage as being almost like a socially amplified Nourish unit. So they will go around to the areas where nourishment is needed most and then broadcast where they've delivered nourishment. What you can then do is overlay that with cold map and basically build up a nourishment heat map. Because what we're doing is we're providing warmth to the communities that need it most. So what you then develop is the nourishment heat map, and you can show people where Kellogg's has nourished the women and then where they will be next. So that the ownership of the Nourish and the stunt and surprise and delight of the Nourish crew being there in the very least expected areas will drive sort of talkability and amplification of it.
Yeah, one question. The moment of truth comes when Susan goes to the store and basically buys the product. What do you do in store to get her to know the product and grab it?
Sure, so that's where the heat lamps over the top of the Kellogg's products in the aisle is. So imagine you're in a supermarket, they're all identically lit, except from any place in the store you can see a red halo, almost of colour and warmth. So that's where we have carpet on the ground, we have a change in texture to make her stop, and then we have the warmth to make her stay and consider and then buy the product that's suitable for her.
Is the central challenge for you to is the central challenge to get Susan to switch from competition, or it's a new category development job?
It's getting her to switch from hot to hot, so from the Uncle Toby's across to the Nourish range. Because traditionally in Australia, Uncle Toby's is slightly more male focused. This would allow her to see relevance in a female orientated offering for hot breakfast.
And other than the media you described, what's the creative idea for her to feel the warmth?
So the creative idea is all about, through media, having warmth as the central touch point. So by engaging her senses, we can create a emotional memory of that warmth juxtaposed in cold environments. So heat lamps on out-of-home panels. The actual Nourish crew will have it will be like a warming van almost. Imagine sort of it opening up and then heat lamps around distributing the product, and then the van closes and moves on. And then as well, the in-store just cements more that warmth proposition, which she will identify with as the nourishment property of the product.
So just quickly, how are you connecting warm to weight management?
Okay, so what Susan already knows is that the feeling of eating well makes her feel better, makes her feel safer. So when when Susan is in cold environments, like everyone here, you feel vulnerable, right? You have the shiver, you have the shake, toes get numb. The nourishment warm factor is what tells her that she's doing well by herself, that she's taking care of herself. So instead of like a short-term, I'm hungry, I'm dieting, I feel terrible, this is, I'm caring for myself, I'm caring for my health, my mind and my body, and that comes through with the warmth.
I relate fitness, nourishment also to sports. Is there any link to sports?
There can be, but what we see in Australia is more of an overall societal shift among women to see fitness above the exercise and diet space. So eating well as the best revenge is a saying that goes around Australia. And so we see that being used in conjunction, but more as a lifestyle that involves food and exercise and sort of holistic nourishment rather than exercise, diet, weight.
Maybe one last one. I assume they will roll out this brand globally. If you see what you have done or what you would do for Australia, would that be a positioning that can travel across the world?
Yes. Well, as I've learned, Singapore doesn't really have seasons, so anywhere with colder environments, this would work very, very well. What you can also do, though, is use this feeling of warm to then translate into other climates where people still want that feeling of looking. It's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Thank you very much. We got the point. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Donna Sharp from Starcom Greater China, and today I'm going to talk about bringing a new healthy tradition to our China target. So what's important to realize is that in China, breakfast is a very traditional occasion, which means for hundreds of years, the same delicious, but also deep-fried and oily breakfast choices have been made, typically by vendors on the street corner that you can pick up on the way to work. In the last 2 years, however, the Chinese government has been very focused on a new healthy lifestyle initiative. A healthy China is a happy China. And this means hosting events like free exercise classes in public parks or teaching nutrition in traditional media. So this is a unique opportunity for Special K Nourish to actually bring a new tradition to China that reaches this new healthy, simple lifestyle. Who we're talking to is Susan. She's a new mom. She's thinking about her healthy lifestyle of herself as well as her family. And because the concept of weight consciousness is still somewhat new in China, this is the person who's probably thinking about it most based on her lifestyle. When it comes to media, she's getting inspiration from her favorite dramas. This is people that she can relate to and see similar ideas that are happening on air and online. Her mobile phone is her constant companion. This is what keeps her sane. This is what keeps her connected and on schedule. E-commerce is actually quite unique in China as well. As we've probably heard, it's the fastest growing market for e-commerce in the world. And part of the reason is because logistically, the powers that be, like Tmall, have made same-day delivery possible. So for our target, this means that her life is a lot simpler when it comes to last-minute changes or getting things ordered while she's at work and they're at her doorstep when she gets home. In addition, the e-commerce giants in China have realized the unique link between shopping and social behavior. And this is actually something that we've already known as people for a long time, but they realized on a more technical level the opportunity for Tmall to make a majority stakeholder purchase of Sina Weibo, which is the largest social network in China. What this allows is for not only real people to benefit from being able to see recommendations and content related to purchases and products, but also for marketers to tap into that opportunity. And as we know, social media is incredibly important for Susan to get credible recommendations both in public forums from her digital friends or her KOLs on Weibo, as well as on a more private basis with both people in WeChat and with brands, which are very popular from a CRM basis in the WeChat platform as well. So how do we bring to life Special K Nourish and bring this new tradition to Susan? Well, it starts with an integration in one of her favorite programs. Hot Mom was a top 10 program last year, which talked about the transition from being a single gal to getting married and quickly having your first child. And this is an opportunity for Special K Nourish to integrate into a top-reaching program. And I mention integrate because in China, you are not allowed to run commercials during the hot dramas. So brand integration is really the way to reach out to our consumer. Now, our opportunity here is to have the Hot Mom cast actually talk a little bit more about their healthy lifestyle choices, perhaps choosing Special K Nourish one day instead of that fried dough stick on the way to work. But we want to bring this into a more local level as well, and invite the cast of Hot Mom to come to some of these free exercise events that are being held in all of the major cities, sometimes weekly, sponsored by the government. Right now, there is no brand sponsor integrated, but because of the power of celebrity, by getting the cast involved, we have the ability to bring Special K Nourish into the conversation and have a great sampling opportunity right in those parks next to those fried dough stations with the vendors, giving you a healthy choice. Now, we want to make sure that Susan is finding out about this on an individual and personalized level. We want to speak to her in media that knows who she is, where she is, and what she's doing. We want to give her tips of how she can specifically make healthy lifestyle choices, like going to Jujang Park tonight for a free dance class, or making a switch to Special K Nourish this morning for breakfast. I mentioned that linkage between e-commerce and social media. And while the merger is still new, there are opportunities for brands to be the first to capitalize on this, which is why for Special K Nourish, I would recommend that they actually create a single engagement hub that links their sales and their social content of both what they're saying and their consumers are saying. And this is an ability to recognize that if we're launching a new brand and a new category in China, we're not simply going to get people to buy by giving them 50% off. We want to leverage all that content that we're creating with Hot Mom from the events that we're sponsoring in the parks and bring that to consumers and relate the healthy lifestyle opportunity with the product itself. And because while we're engaging these people, we have the unique link to purchase that also provides us with a great measurement opportunity, not just from e-commerce, but as some of you may have heard in yesterday's presentations, WeChat is bringing to life mobile payments in a big way in China. So for this 360 plan in 5 minutes, measurement is still, of course, important. And one thing we want to keep in mind is that we know that Kellogg's has let us know that market mix modeling is the ultimate decision in how media works. But we need to be more agile than that. Now you'll know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Let me start. Thank you very much for this activity-based. What would be your idea, your big idea behind all this?
My big idea?
Yes.
I think the focus is on we have to create a new tradition. So we have to find ways that we are integrating in where she sees real people engaging in their daily lives. Now, I mentioned that dramas are really important. That's how they kind of see how much do I compare to this soap opera lifestyle, as well as throughout her day-to-day. So that's why we want to make sure that we're in the big screen, and I mean that's also the small screens too, from a high reach perspective, but getting into a day-to-day lifestyle with events and mobile as well.
So across the program, how do you see, with the target audience, Susan, the young or new mothers you describe them, how are you bringing together the product benefits to the mother?
Yep. So I think that's the focus on both the simplicity and the health aspect, and which is why I mentioned it's important to note that this is a new conversation. So in the brief, when it talked about we have to disrupt our target when she's looking for healthy lifestyle choices, well, right now in China, there's not a lot of that happening. So that's why I recommended focusing on the new mom, because this is probably the time where she's most open to and interested in this kind of conversation. So that's where we find that targeting opportunity from an e-commerce perspective. What is she purchasing? What other healthy goods or maybe workout gear is she purchasing? When she is connecting from a drama perspective with shows that are talking about that transition, where we can really do education using the product, not just on the product benefits of the simplicity and the healthy factor, but also on the category as a whole.
You talked about the fact that this is a job which is building a new category which doesn't exist. How would you measure success of this?
Yeah, so from the slide I never got to, the hope is to look at more agile measures, because if we're launching a brand, we can't wait until 8 months after the campaign. So part of the way we can do that is using digital metrics that actually measure total media, things like search volume, things like buzz volume. So as we're seeing an increase based on the typical traditional foods that people talk about and share about in social media or look for recipes online. In addition, because of all the owned media space and the connection to commerce, we have the ability to start to see, is there an impact on sales, or are we persuading people by how they choose to engage with us on WeChat, on Tmall, and on Weibo?
And you talked about marketing mix modeling. So you talked about marketing mix modeling as being the holy grail for measurement. So more about that?
In Kellogg's brief, they told us that the ultimate measure would be market mix modeling. My recommendation is that while that will be great, 8 months after the campaign, we need to look at some of these more agile metrics. So the direct link to sales and the direct link to conversations, searches, which really shows us if consumers are actually, in fact, thinking about us more.
You said yourself that you're trying to change tradition. That's an extremely tall ask. Do you have any inkling as to what kind of budgets you're looking at?
From a China perspective, you'll see that I tried to focus on a kind of a specific target. So focusing on tier 1, tier 2, an educated new mom. And in order to really truly launch a product and make it into multiple channels, we would probably be looking at about 50 million USD. The good news is that Nick told us we have no budget limitations in this plan. So no one can cut me on that. But that's what we're looking at for an integrated media plan.
But there's ROI though, so you need to think about how many boxes of Kellogg's you're going to sell.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's where we want to make sure that we have that kind of agile pulse on how things are performing from a campaign perspective. But that would be as we're looking at launching a CPG and hoping to get at least 10% sale within the target market. That would be the likely budget for China. Probably slightly different than the other markets you're hearing from.
As you live in a dream world of no budget constraints, which is great. Never heard that. Interesting. What would you do in store? As one of the barriers we learned from the brief is that it's a new category, it's a new thing. So how do we get her in store when the purchase comes in store? What do you do in store?
Yep. Absolutely. This is something that we've worked on with some of our other clients, which is how do we create new space for a category that doesn't exist? And because of the link with the healthy, we would recommend kind of the milk area and vegetable section because there is no cereal aisle in China. There is no category for us to integrate into and fight for shelf space. We have to create it on our own. So that would need to be in traditional trade partnerships. But that's why I mentioned the importance of e-commerce as a growing channel, is we don't have to fight there for the shelf space. It's about fighting for the mind space, for trying to get people to think about the new category. So I think it will be a combination of penetrating that channel as a primary channel, a little bit different than a typical CPG, as well as working with the retailers to talk about how they can build it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, hi, I'm Aditya and I work for MediaCom in the Singapore office. So today I'm going to talk to you about how Susan needs a new best friend who talks to her in a language that she understands. Susan is an average Singaporean woman. She has 2 children and she sits at home and she sits in office as well. She has a very sedentary lifestyle and the government's trying to change that lifestyle. What she doesn't know is every day in the morning when she goes to the local hawker center to pick up her breakfast, tapao as they call it, she's actually picking up things that have 700 calories and 620 calories. But the thing about Susan is she's still very conscious about her weight and the way she looks. But what she doesn't get is all the talk about calories and nutrition value and things like that. She wasn't very bright in science when she was in school, so she doesn't get it. And she needs someone who can talk to her better. Her current set of friends talk to her about clothes, they talk to her about jewelry, they talk about gossip, family, but no one really talks to her about nutrition the way she really needs to know. And that's where Kellogg Special K comes in. Kellogg Special K needs to be that healthy best friend who will talk to Susan in a language she'll understand. So I'll just take you to the universal truth, which is basically nutrition and well-being is a state of mind. You can't just do a television campaign and get away with it. You need it to be a longer conversation that spans over a period of time. And hence, that is the best friend you need to live a more healthy lifestyle. What the campaign shouldn't be is what is here. A lot of text, a lot of talking, a lot of actual lessons. It has to fit in to a brand content, experience, and conversation window. And how are we going to do that? We need to become a best friend. I'm not an expert with women, but I'll take you through the process of becoming a girl's best friend. The first one, when you first get introduced to her, you need to excite her. You need to do things that she's never seen before. So what we're going to do is, when she's commuting to work and from work, in Singapore taxis, we're going to have little pedals. She needs to know what it is to lose a calorie before she knows what a calorie is. So as she pedals more, the cost of the fare does not increase. The next thing, she comes out of an MRT station. When she comes out of an MRT station, she sees and she has a smartphone, which always loses battery, right? So she sees a VFX machine, right? And the more she does the exercise, she can charge her phone. So small activities like that create content for us that we can then use in the second phase 2, which is specialfriends.com. This is a social digital home for all our content that we're going to create around these activities. And also quickly, we're going to have bloggers, And finally, I need to talk to you about food porn. It's one of the most topping trends on Twitter and Instagram at the moment. People in Singapore, women, they take pictures of the food that they eat and they hashtag it. What we want them to do is to induce trial. Every time they take a picture of them eating Kellogg's, we give them social currency, which is K dollars. What they can do with the social currency is going to Zumba classes, Pilates is very expensive in Singapore. So the more K dollars you earn, we sponsor them to go for all these exercise classes. And also the more social invites. So if you invite a friend of yours and they join, you get K dollars. The next thing, once you have a trust, let's sell her some cereal, right? Obviously TV, we're going to every soap opera that she watches, we're going to have, on every breakfast table, we're going to have a Kellogg's there. We're going to do print advertorials, online search keywords, but this is the key thing. On every Kellogg Special K pack, we're going to have QR codes. It links back to our digital home, where every time she scans that QR code, she gets K dollars. So again, we're inducing trial and not just conversation on that. The next thing that we do is stop her dirty old habits. So when she goes to a hawker center, there's going to be digital out-of-home screens, which pulls live feeds out of our digital home, which are the pictures, the tweets, etc., and it keeps going. It makes her rethink. If everyone in Singapore is having healthy Kellogg's for breakfast, maybe I should change my dirty old habits. And finally, once you pick out all the top social influencers who've got the most K dollars, and they love to be the celebrated woman in that neighborhood. You make her that celebrated woman and give her the access to create these little groups on aerobics, Zumba, and everything. The reason we're doing all this is because when you talk about nutrition, it cannot be just eat cereal. It has to be more about a liquid and linked conversation, which leverages on your own paid and earned media that you have, and also build on that brand conversation experience and through all the content which is user generated and through you. Why do I think this campaign will work? It builds on 3 things. 1, awareness. 2, long-term brand equity and fans that you build for a future. And finally, trial. Everything you do will lead to trial as well. Thank you.
I think I get the whole narrative of why she, how she would go about and how exciting it would be from her right from the stage 1 to the stage 5. But what's her primary motivation? Why would she do all this?
So, like I said in the insights, Singaporean women, they want to be fit, they want to look good, but their lifestyles don't let them do that. And also, things are very expensive in Singapore. It's not like another market where things are cheap to do. So we become an enabler for her to live a healthier lifestyle. And by building that well-being conversation, what we're doing is building an equity that links Special K Kellogg's to nutrition and well-being from a long-term perspective.
I see you are introducing a new currency, the K dollars, right?
Yeah.
We heard about the Bitcoins.
Bitcoin, yeah, no, this is a little more friendly.
How many K dollars will you distribute in relation to the overall budget, and what do you think the ROI will be for the K dollars?
So with the K dollar, obviously we need to tie up with people like True Fitness and people who have these classes, and it also is an advantage. So we're not going to give them a free year-long subscription. We're going to give them free classes. So how it works is it's a shared media between, say, a fitness company and us. What they get is basically a lady comes and she samples a couple of classes, and for all you know, she either, if it works for us, is going to buy a lot more Kellogg's in K dollars and then still go there, or if it works for them, she's then going to sign up for classes in the future. So I think an ROI on that is actually going to be pretty high, because we're not going to actually be spending too much, and it's going to be a shared asset. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tejas. I work with Unilever India. I am the media manager over there. The brief I had basically had 2 objectives. One is to launch this brand, Special K Nourish in India, and reframe the perception as nourish food. Special K exists in India, but it's considered a diet food, which has a negative connotation. And second is build the category itself, because category penetration is dismally low. So who are we targeting? So I'm looking at top 30 cities only. That's about 100 million women, which is a large size in itself. The balance 450, I've probably never heard of cereals, not going to hear them probably for the next 2 years. No point targeting them. In terms of understanding the TG, there are 4 key insights. One is she cooks the family meal, right? But if she cooks something for herself, it comes with a guilt of indulgence. Eating right is more important than convenience. Cereals is definitely a convenience category. And daily chores consume most of her time. Also, a desire to get recognition amongst family and peers is really huge, which leads to the campaign idea of nourish yourself, love yourself, which basically means that if you take good care of yourself, you'll also start loving yourself. And the campaign will unveil in 4 stages. The first 2 will concentrate purely on creating category awareness because it's non-existent in the country. And the next 2 would be on establishing a conversation with the consumer. So to get the debate going around do consumers in my country actually have enough nourishment, we'll do a survey asking them, do you think your body gets enough nourishment? But to make the survey really credible, you'll tie up with Prevention, which is an authority on health and wellness, and amplify it across mediums, get their editor on Google Hangouts, on news channels, on RJ plugins. Step 2 is make them aware of the brand. So high impact launch, 3 key innovations that I could think of. One is do a talking newspaper, wherein you insert an audio chip in the newspaper. The consumer opens the newspaper in the morning. The audio chip starts chirping. High impact, consumers don't expect papers to talk. Second is to brand racks or special K ingredients. So if almond is an ingredient in special K, all almond racks in all retail outlets will say this goes into special K, right? And that's how you build nourishment credentials for this brand. Third is a rather tactical one. So wherever there's an escalator and a staircase, Indians normally prefer the escalators. You just brand the staircase saying special K consumers probably use the staircase. You'll also do a bloggers outreach program just to keep the buzz going on online portfolio, and also sample along with diapers. Now women tend to put on weight after they have babies. It's probably the best time to target them because they are most susceptible to a message. Now, once we have created category awareness, comes the key part. Now I'm trying to induce a lifestyle change here, right? So it will require a very strong trigger, and if she does something for herself, it's also indulgence, right? So ABC stands for Anniversary to Birthday Challenge, and it basically encourages women to change their lifestyle. So how does it work? So husband is the trigger over here. All husbands tend to give their wives something on the anniversary. You just ensure that your special K hamper also goes in along with the anniversary gift. Second is you engage them through free diet consultations. So once the hamper is inside the house, you basically get them for free diet consultations, do a health checkup, identify what is their nourishment need, draw up a nourishment plan for them, a diet plan for them, lifestyle plan for them, and keep her engaged through social media, ensure that this challenge that she's taken up, all the people egg her on so that she completes the challenge. Now now that you've done this challenge and it's your birthday, when you're looking fit and fabulous, we would then urge consumers to post a selfie on your birthday, right? Selfie in this TG in India is not really big right now, but that's a trend which I see becoming big. Hence, if you've done this over a sustained period of time, you've probably challenge completed and habit inculcated. Now, when I showed you insights, the key insight was how do you get recognition? Do I think this is enough? I don't think so. So with all the selfies that I get, I'll create the world's largest selfie billboard in each town. It should look something like this, even better. And drive buzz around this through PR and social media. Also try and get this into Guinness Book of World Records and give a copy to each consumer. I'm not sure how many of you people sitting in the room are a part of Guinness Book, so that in itself should be great recognition. In terms of commercials, I have a very large population size. Even if I get 2% of them to try my product, it will become a $6.3 million product. The campaign, the way I budgeted it was about 2.6 million. And if I'm doing a category building job, 41% of turnover in A&P I think is a great start for year one. In terms of measurement, when I do the first 2 steps, which is on creating awareness, it's about category awareness scores being at 70% and top of mind at 90%. And steps 3 and 4 on gives me wholesome nutrition, 50% share of endorsements on that, and special K Nourish part of every grocery list because we really want them bought into the category. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thanks.
I'd love to see what happens to the husband when he presents a gift that tells the wife she needs to lose weight. Right, how are you going to address the in-store? How are you going to drive them to your aisle? And also, what is the creative message when you are talking to the female herself?
So the message that I am talking is nourish yourself, love yourself. Nourishment itself is an issue. That's what I'm picking up, right? And it basically means that if you nourish yourself, you'll also start loving yourself. The insight clearly said that she lacks recognition, which in some ways also love. So it's almost like getting the emotional connect going with the consumer. It also talks functional because it says nourish. Yeah. Sorry, I missed your first question. In-store. So there are a couple of tactical innovations which I presented. And it is, for me, because it's about establishing the category, I really don't want big Kellogg Special K coming through. I would rather brand things which are perceived to be nourished. So dry fruits, and just drive the message saying, you know, fruits part of Special K, right? Dry fruits part of Special K. And that's how I'm building the nourishment quotient for the brand. Because building nourishment quotient is the biggest challenge as far as I see on this brand.
You set out a very bold statement on changing the lifestyle. What if I'm a Susan who doesn't want to change her lifestyle? What if I'm just a person who wants to eat a nutritional Kellogg's bar?
That's okay. I am only targeting 2% of the people anyways to buy. You can be the 98%.
So you make a conscious choice on not me as a Susan who just wants a snack, but the
I'm only targeting
changes.
2% trial, so that should be good.
So I was going to ask a similar question, frame it slightly differently, because when you set up the challenge, obviously you said it's a tough ask. As the marketing director for Kellogg's APAC, would you launch this product into India?
Would you launch this product?
Would you launch this product into India?
I will follow my marketing plan, you'll get good returns.
Very good.
Is the key challenge about nourishment or about healthy eating? You mentioned that nourishment is a challenge, or is this whole proposition around healthy eating?
It's more on nourishment because we tend to be selective of what we term healthy. And when I say we, it's basically Indians, right? But I'm not really sure if we understand what is nourished food. And nourishment can have various connotations. It doesn't basically mean fat, vitamins, minerals. It can have various connotations. And because we eat only selective type of foods, it can be that we lack certain parameters of nourishment while others get it. So challenge for me is actually on nourishment per se, because if I look at the product, it actually has enough and more ingredients from everything. So it's a wholesome meal in terms of nourishment per se. So nourishment is key for me and not so much on health or healthy eating. And I honestly believe that if you start eating nourished foods, healthy lifestyle will follow. And that is why the whole thing of ABC, right? From anniversary to birthday, which will be 3 months, 4 months, whatever time, you would follow a certain plan. And that is how you'll inculcate an habit into the consumer. So a brand is actually trying to inculcate a healthy lifestyle by taking up this challenge.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peksha Walia. I'm from Mediacom India. I'm here to present to you the Kellogg's case study. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed working on it. So let's begin. The challenge given to so Kellogg's wants to launch a new variant which in their Special K segment, which is Special K Nourish. Now, what's different between Special K and Special K Nourish? Well, as the name gives it away, it's much more nourishing. It's also in 2 different forms. So we have the hot cereal and we have nutrition bars. The consumer barrier is that that consumers perceive it the Special K range as diet food. Diet food, basically, it's unhealthy, it's not tasty, it's not for me. I do not want to have diet food. So how do we change this attitude of the consumers? How do we make her realize that that this product, Special K Nourish, has been made specifically designed for her needs? It's a lot more nutritious. It's lot more delicious, and it just adds a little. It just adds the right amount of calories for her. How do we maximize this on media? Well, we create a buzz, especially during the launch, on the premise of unhealthy weight loss versus healthy weight management, and we use multiple media platforms. So who is this woman that we're talking about? She's a righteous woman. She always believes in doing the right things. She stands firm in her beliefs. She has climbed her way to success, and she does not believe in shortcuts. She does not believe in compromise. So in India currently, there's a situation where people are, the media and the fashion houses have stereotyped women, as in you need to have a perfect body, the perfect perfect body shape type in order to look beautiful or to look good. But this woman, she realizes that it's not necessary to have a perfect body size. It's about having the right healthy eating habits. That's what's needed, and not a perfect body for her to succeed in life. So how do we go around amplifying this on media? Well, in phase 1, we sparkle a debate about the healthy eating habits. We do an interesting survey with interesting factoids. So these factoids are published on print, radio, and of course carried on social. So this could be anything. This could be something like 50% people believe it's easier to do taxes than to understand or figure out what is how to eat healthy. In phase 2, we have women revolting against the media and fashion houses for stereotyping them. We have celebs joining them. So Kellogg's comes in here, and so it starts appealing to consumers, asking them, if you believe that eating right is more important than eating less, then please join this DND movement. DND movement, no, it's not a do not disturb movement. It is a do not diet movement. And of course, it started by a supermodel. So this is leveraged across TV, print, radio, and social. So where does Kellogg's Special K Nourish come in? So understanding the consumer's needs. Kellogg's understands that there is a nutritious solution that is needed for this consumer who is looking for it but does not know where to go, where to get this. So Kellogg's now comes ahead and launches a new subline Special K Nourish. So of course it does this in style. It launches in the ladies compartment of a metro and during breakfast hours. And so this is the Hot Breakfast Express. And of course this is amplified across social and radio. So post the launch, the entire campaign, it's a multimedia campaign. So we have the TV for the mass, for having the mass reach. We have print to educate the consumers about the nutritional benefits of the product, and of course digital to engage the audiences. How do we measure this campaign? So one is the toll-free number that we have, so the number of calls that we receive for the DND movement. And of course, post the launch, we can always have a consumer track for the unbranded, for the unaided brand awareness and the purchase intent. Thank you. Thank you.
So you talked about the target audience a little bit, and Susan, but how big do you think the market potential is in India for the product?
See, the breakfast category itself is around rupees 2,000 crore industry. Out of that, cereals is right now only 500 crores. But this is since it's currently cereals is in India we are used to hot food. So whenever we eat hot. So currently the cereals market has not been able to expand because it's a cold. You need to add cold milk, so which is not exactly appealing to the consumers. But this hot product, so you have increased your base. So it's not just 500 crores, you are targeting an entire 2,000 crore.
How would you describe your creative idea in the short term?
So it's basically first making so the consumer already knows that she knows that she does not want diet foods. She knows that she does not want she wants something tastier, which is appealing and which is good for her health. So she'll not sacrifice or compromise it with anything else. So she knows what is right for her, and she will always stand for what is right. In here, how Kellogg's comes in place is that it understands the consumer's needs, and and therefore it's designed this product which is suitable for the consumer. My creative idea is basically to make, so this woman is on the go. So she is a multitasker, she does a lot of other things. It's not just that she's sitting at home and not, so she lives in an urban city. She's a multitasker. She has a lot of responsibilities on her. She needs something which is quick and which is nutritious for her this. So which is why this is on the go, to target her on the go. That's why the metro, because she's always on the move. So even the bars make sense because it's always on the move, so she can quickly grab it whenever she wants to have a nutritious meal.
I have one more. One of the barriers we saw on the brief is going in-store and then not really knowing where to find the product. So how do we make sure in-store our Susan finds what she wants to look for?
Generally, I mean, knowing Susan, she is health conscious, so she will be buying a lot more vegetables rather than frozen foods. So maybe target, have banners or some around those locations which are which is where she's like more likely to spend time in a store.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want a big applause. No, just stay here. Just join us up here. Come on. As I said individually to everybody, that you are already here is already a great sign because you have won already against many others out there. So you made it already on stage and they have all won already. So big applause for that. And I'm especially proud to say, as you are the young hot guns, kind of, these are our future Asia media leaders. So congratulations for that as well. Now, we will huddle a bit now and then come back to you tonight. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say, and the winner is...
So just, if you just can stay there, I just had a couple of thoughts which I wanted to share. So firstly, I think fantastic presentation. So thank you very much. Job really well done. And I think I've got good news and bad news. I think the good news is that all 5 of you did a spectacular job. And therefore, if you ever wish to work on some of the world's leading brands, my name is Rahul Welde. Just reach out to me. We'll be more than happy to have you over on the side. The bad news is, I think for a lot of people in the audience and the agency colleagues, I think it takes no more than 48 hours to turn around a well-written brief. So, we're going to cut down on turnaround time very, very dramatically. And it's really, I think it's really fascinating to see, really, really delightful, and to think of it that you've done this single-handedly in 48 hours. I must say congratulations to you all, and like Bernard said, in your own right, each one of you is a winner, and I wish you luck.